Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 98. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That is C2Believe on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We're going to start with some football. No, not American football. We are talking some Seattle Sounders football. That's right. And
Real
the
football.
Sounders, yeah, real football. Thank you. Thank you. And the Sounders have had a mixed month so far. They won 2-0 against Real Salt Lake on March 4th. Then they went to Cincinnati, lost 1-0. And then this past Saturday, they hosted LAFC to a thrilling 0-0 draw. So they are currently 2-1-1. And I'm going to throw it to newly minted soccer expert since he's been watching games this year. Sean, have you been watching the Sounders and what have you thought of them so far?
Well, I was unable to actually watch the LA game, but
Ah,
they've played 4 games to get up 1 goal, so it can only be so bad. Um, I will say they didn't look as sharp against Cincinnati and LA, but I think they played well enough against LA. They probably should have won, from what I have gathered. They probably should have won, but in a game where 1 goal can win you a game, if you don't just like put in your chances, then it's a draw. So a draw against LA, who is very good, is fine. Probably should have beat Cincinnati, but again, they've played 4 games and given up 1 goal. Could only be so mad about that. They've scored 6 and given up 1. Um, would with that said, you'd like a couple more points in the standings, but again, all things considered, they are sitting pretty right now. I am not worried about them. They still look really. They don't look as good when they're not beating teams on average of 3-0 anymore. So obviously, they won't look as good, but they are just fine. I expect them to keep rolling.
yeah, I was in Seattle during the LAFC game. I wasn't actually at that game. I was at the Kraken game, which we will talk about in a little bit. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on these Bruce Lee inspired uniforms. So they were wearing these with their kits on Saturday against LAFC. Really kind of like the design actually. The purple haze that they had last year was pretty cool. I think I still might lean the purple haze jerseys, but these are pretty cool themselves. Kevin, what do you think of the jerseys? Have you watched any Sounders soccer recently?
Sadly, I haven't been able to watch any Sounders. I've been I still look at the box scores pretty much anytime they do play games. So I keep track of wins and losses and you know how they're looking and stuff like that. But the jerseys itself are super cool, but like I'm a weirdo to where like if it doesn't somewhat match their original colors, I'm just kind of like, why? Like I want to see blue and green in there. Um, so had they done that, but like had the dragon logo, and I get it because those are kind of Bruce Lee's colors with the red and the black, but and the yellow. But like, I mean, you're the Sounders, so you should have green and blue and black in there. But I don't know. I mean, other than that, they are cool. And that's a cool actual photo shot that they have right there. The dude in midair kicking the dang thing. And you could tell he's super focused. But yeah, other than that, just yeah, I mean, they could be doing better than what they're doing right now, but it's still a very long season, so I'm not too upset with them at the moment.
Sean, what do you think of these Bruce Lee threads?
I largely agree with Kevin. I kind of like them to be the same color, but you have their home and road and a couple alternates, but I would like them to, if they want to do one, like you said last year, purple haze, where it's different colors, or I know red is very important in certain Asian communities, and so I get that's probably why
Yeah.
it's the color it is. So I think if you want to do one a year where it has like different colors than your normal colors, totally fine with it. But like Kevin said, if we're like every third game having colors that aren't the Sounders colors, I'm like,
Yeah, and that's weird.
why even have colors at that point? So I was like, 90%, 95% of your jerseys should be blue or green. But if you want to do these for like 1 or 2 games, that's totally fine. I'm down for it.
And some other Sounders news, the Sounders will be at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. They are in due to their CONCACAF Champions League victory last year. With the expanded format, all those winners from 2021 to 2024 qualify for the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. So they will be back into international play, at least at that point. They could get in by winning the CONCACAF once again. But at this point, they are in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Let us know what your thoughts are on the Bruce Lee threads or how the Sounders doing. I am Bader Scramat. Sean's Sean's
So
Committee.
so
Kev,
wait, I have a question about that tournament. You might not even be able to answer it. So
yeah,
you said it's over like a 3-year 2021 to 2023? Is that what you said?
I will share the tweet that I am reading.
Because 21 or 24, so 1 2 3 4 years. So that means that, and you're saying like if like tournaments around the world, if you win it, so that could vary how many teams are in that tournament dramatically by how many different teams win in each league.
Yeah, absolutely.
There could
Absolutely.
be like, and it's over 4 years. Let's say every league in the world has a 4 winners every season. It could be like quadruple the size in theory.
Yeah, it could be almost a full-fledged like World Cup,
Oh my
essentially
God.
with groups and stuff like that. But I'm
That
not
could be
entirely
either
sure how they're going to do it.
horrible or amazing. It just would take like years to finish that if like so many teams, different teams won it. Okay.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, you could do it similar to the World Cup where you have groups, few advance, then you do the
Yeah, but
knockout
like,
stages. It would
but
take
like,
a
let's
while, of course, but
yeah, how many tournaments are in the in South America and all that stuff? And if you had 4 of each, you have like 24 teams just from this continent, let alone all the European leagues. It'd just be like 140 teams or something like that. It could be, which would just be insane. But yeah,
yeah, it could be a lot. Could be a
probably
lot.
won't because the Bundesliga, like there's like 2 teams who ever win that forever.
That's true.
So
That's true. All right, well, let us know what you think of the Sounders, but let's move on to the American football. That's right, the Seattle Seahawks, and there have been a slew of moves. We're going to talk about the biggest one, which is Seattle re-signing Geno Smith, and I have the Brady Henderson story up. If Geno Smith has a strong enough encore to his comeback player of the year season, the Seahawks quarterback can earn significantly more than the $25 million per year base value of his 3-year, $75 million contract. If not, it could end up being a 1-year deal for $27.3 million. So, Kevin, what did you think of the Geno Smith deal?
At first, before like the main numbers came out, I was kind of like borderline. I was like, I don't know if I want 3 years and that much. But after seeing how it was all kind of structured out, I was more okay with it. Because essentially you can cut him after next year and pretty much go out unscathed. Um, it's solid. I mean, it's not crazy money, but is it money that I like spending on Geno? Not particularly, but I mean, you need a quarterback, and Geno is a serviceable quarterback, so I'm wishy-washy about it. Like I said, I would rather just use that money to fill other areas of needs. But quarterback play is very important, and I think they're doing it just because I think they're eyeing, and we'll kind of get into that here in a little bit too, like what with the draft coming up. I think they're eyeing, they could take a quarterback at 5. It is a possibility. Whether a quarterback of their choice that they want there is there at 5 is another question. So yeah, all in all, I thought it was okay. The fact that you can get out a year, I would prefer that they draft a quarterback and then next year just cut him and see what you have in the other kid, but we'll see.
Yeah, Kevin, I am similar to you on this. The initial in Brady's story, it says the initial reports Smith was signing for $105 million. We're including the $30 million in additional money he can make beyond the $75 million base value. When you hear that number, the 3-year 105, that to me was too much. And you see the money thrown towards quarterbacks, and I understand that market value is a thing. I might not necessarily agree with it, but then when you actually hear the details of the contract, I think it makes a lot more sense for mostly the Seahawks, but also Geno, because if Gino plays as well as he did last year or even better, then you've still got him locked in for another couple of years after that. So it kind of is, from the Seahawks perspective, he had a good year, but the resume besides that is not as impressive. And Gino, seeing that, realizing he's going to get a raise because of how he played this year, I think he's betting on himself in this instance to be the starter for the next few years. Now, whether that's the case, whether they draft a quarterback, who knows what happens. But I think overall that this is a great deal for both sides. It is kind of what Gino said with a hometown discount. That is, not the market value he probably could have gotten, or maybe I don't know what other teams might have been offering him, but I think it makes sense for both teams. And I do kind of think that this indicates that quarterback will be drafted. I don't know where, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, some people got education on how NFL contracts are structured, and how agents say it, and how people who report it say it. It is never what the initial thing is. That is always reference to the max out of the deal. It is never what they will actually make. No one ever makes all their money in the NFL, other than Kirk Cousins. I don't know how he does it. How he gets everything guaranteed. I just don't get it. But yeah, I think it is a win-win. Now I get, because I think they did this a lot, because like, let's say, like Kevin says, it's you're spending a lot of money on Geno Smith, but in the grand scheme of things, if it doesn't work for 1 year, you're essentially saving $4 million against what he would have just gotten a franchise tag. Like, you're paying him 28 versus 32 for a 1 year deal, which if he doesn't play well, then you save $4 million, and you're not beholden to somebody for long term. If he plays well, it's kind of a bargain in the long run. And it doesn't, and then, like you said, it's only a 3 year deal. Even if he plays well, you can still cut him if you think that your other guy's good enough. And I think if that's the case, if he plays well and he gets cut it might even want to be cut, because let's say he plays well and he's like, okay, cut me, you drafted your quarterback, and then they can let Gino go make more money elsewhere. Like, he plays good 2 years in a row, he could reset his market value at 34 on a different team. So I think it's a win-win. A little more in favor of the Seahawks. I don't think Gino did the Seahawks a favor, because again, there's a lot of outs for both sides on this one. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's totally fine with what 1 year, $28 million, worst case scenario, probably doesn't help you. This contract does mean, though, I would say a 98% chance Gino is not seeing the third year of this deal. I don't think there's any way it goes all the way to 3 years. Unless like some crazy thing happened, at that point Gino's going to be like, look, we need to re-up before the end of this deal anyways. So it's either going to get extended or he's gone in 2 years, 1 or 2 years. So I think they draft a quarterback. I think this is a 1 year deal, basically.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the other signings. I know I'm missing one here, so you guys will probably fill that in. And some of the people who are gone now. The Seahawks signed former Denver Bronco defensive tackle Draymond Jones to. Oh, I've got the story here. I should probably just reference the actual years. And deal is for $51 million on a 3-year deal. They also signed. Oh no. Oh, laptop froze for a second there. Okay. They signed Julian Love to a 2-year, $12 million deal. They also signed a center from Detroit. I am blanking on the name right now, and I can't find it, but I'm sure you guys will fill in that gap. Some Seahawks that have left. Rashad Penny has signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Seahawks release Quentin Jefferson, Shelby Harris, Gabe Jackson, and Al Woods. Al Woods was tonight. So overall, Sean, what have you thought of these roster moves?
It is a position of need for all of them except for Julian Love. I'm not super convinced why that happened, because they also restructured or brought back Ryan Neal, so they technically now have 4 safeties. And the Giants weren't good at defense last year, so all those people saying like, "Oh, Julian Love, he needs to be better than he was last year." Not to say he can't be, but I'm just like, we're running out of positions to play. Then again, they're talking about putting Jamal Adams as a linebacker. You're paying him too much to play linebacker. It's just like, because he can't play safety. So it's just I I just don't. I don't get the love move. Basically, is what it comes down to. I just don't think that was a position of need at all. You've got to just let Jamal be what he's going to be. You should have let Ryan Neal and then Diggs do it, and then just let Jamal. You don't need to sign another safety. As for the tackles, they signed Jaron Reed. Did you say that?
No, I
I
did
don't know
not.
if you did, but they signed Jaron Reed as well as Jones. I think Jaron Reed, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, I think he's a 2-year deal also. But the tackles position of need, I think it's because they're not drafting a tackle early. Both play, what I can say confidently is both play the position of tackle in the NFL. That is about as good of a thing as I can say but for those two. They are not great. They are one is maybe even not even a potential like NFL caliber player, but we'll see. Maybe a fresh scenery, maybe because it's basically Jones. Jones came from a really good situation and it was not good. I don't see how he comes here in a worse situation and it's better. But I mean, I'm all for maybe run it back, but like they're just not good players at this point, unfortunately. So this better be really a depth signing, and they might address it with something else, maybe in the draft. But as it stands now, I am really not. The defensive tackles got worse from last year, and as people are like, "Oh, we need run stoppers," it is not better. So I'm hoping it gets better soon with something else. But I am not super pleased with a ton of the moves. I like the quarterback moves. I like Drew Lock. I like Geno Smith. Totally fine with both of them. They cost like basically no money between the two relatively for quarterback markets. I just don't get the other tackles and all that stuff. I get all the releasing moves is totally fine. I think I made the comment that they're gonna cut Harrison, and like the next day he was cut. So totally fine with Penny leaving and all that stuff. So I feel like they're making like really depth moves here and not addressing like a void of talent in the defense. And I'll wait to judge. Maybe they're going to do that in the draft, but as of stands now, let's say they don't. It's not great, but I don't think it's complete, so it's hard to judge it entirely.
Yeah, I would say I don't really feel the needle move for me too much on any of these moves, particularly. I would say overall, Sean could also come back and weigh in. I would say they're about the same team they were at the end of the season, even with all the turnover and signings.
A little worse. I'd say a little worse on defense.
Okay, I think they're about the same.
Poona Ford and Al Woods were both better than the tackles they have currently.
I mean, we'll see what happens. That defense wasn't stopping a whole lot anyways. So
Cody Barton was better than Bush. Oh, you forgot Bush as well.
I forgot Devin Bush as well. That's right.
Yeah, Cody Barton was better than Devin Bush. I mean, maybe he's better here, but like as it stands, as they were last year, they've basically gotten worse at every position. I wouldn't say like substantially worse by any means. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, these guys can't, like are just gonna be horrible. But I just think that across the board, the two tackles and linebacker, they've taken a step back at each of the three.
And Cody Barton is now in Washington with the Commanders.
I don't know who the other linebacker is right now because Brooks is hurt. So they need to basically spend all their picks on defense at this point. They have to.
Yeah, I think there's none that really like stood out to me. None that were really crazy. I do like you mentioned Sean Drew Lock. I think that especially with I think he's got like 1.75 million base value. Like you're signing him for not a whole lot. So I think they have made some moves. They let some guys go, and I think overall it's about a push for me at this point. Kevin, what have you thought of the moves?
Yeah, not the best. In the ones that did we re-sign Poona Ford or do we let him go?
No, he is still out there, just kind of hanging out.
It says okay. If we bring back Poona Ford, I think we'd be okay, but I don't know if they're gonna do that with the Jaron Reed and Jones signing. Fremont is tough because he is still very young. He's okay at getting after the quarterback in a tackle position. Not great at run stopping, which of course, yeah, I mean, that's something hopefully that can be worked on, but who knows? I mean, maybe we just didn't have the right, coaching in Denver because he's only been in the league for 4 years. But Jaron Reed, yeah, it's just a guy who kind of knows the system and is a little bit younger to replace Al Woods. Whether it's better or not, I don't know. I think he'll get after the quarterback more, but will he stop the run nearly as much as what Al Woods did? No, but there are also games where Al Woods was just pretty much useless out there. I mean, Jacoby or whatever his name is, Jacoby Jones or whatever the fuck, the running back for the Raiders at the time.
Oh, no, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
You got none of the names right.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs made him look like a child multiple times during that game. There's a couple other running backs that, I mean, even though Josh Jacobs is top 3 in the league last season for yards after contact, but still, like, you're big boys, big toys. You should be eating that boy for lunch when he goes into you. So I think Al Woods was just kind of getting older, and it was just kind of like so seeing Al Woods go, I'm not fully as concerned because I think Reed could get up to that point, and same with Jones. Like, the run stopping thing is a thing that needs to be a collateral as a whole. I mean, yes, player individual talent, stopping the run is a key thing, but having the D line just in sync as a whole and not doing dumb shit and getting off assignment is another big thing. So yes, I would like to see more stuff in the draft, especially. I don't think you're good. I mean, that also kind of tells me that they're kind of probably not going to go for Jalen Carter at 5, which I'm kind of happy with because I don't want to touch that dude with a 10-foot pole at the moment. Because he might get me killed, but too soon. So yeah, they do need. There's still a lot of defense. Devin Bush. It kind of feels like what we did with the left tackle that the Jags drafted #1 overall that we brought in that one time in 2013. Him and Fisher or Eric Fisher were 1 and 2. And the Jags cut him after 4 years, and then we brought him in because we were like, oh, he's a former high first-round pick. He's going to be great, and then he sucked. So it's like, I have a feeling they're just trying to do the same thing with Devin Bush. Be like, well, he's a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick for a reason. And I'm like, well, we'll see.
Just based on the way that Pittsburgh fans would talk about him on social media, I'm like, oh man, he was not good. They are really happy to get rid of him.
Maybe a new change of scenery. I don't know. Sometimes new change of sceneries make players do crazy things. Sometimes,
yeah, I agree with you. But like, my issue is, like you said with Jones. I mean, I don't think he's going to have a better situation here than he had in Denver. And like with Bush, yeah, they both can be good. But the problem is, like Kevin, I completely agree. Like, there is some potential, but I'm scared that like both of them are starting. It's not like we're like, hey, we can work on these guys. They're like, you have to play now. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they have to be good like day one.
I think they'll bring back Puno Ford. I'd be very surprised if they did not bring back Puno Ford.
And well, the issue is going to be like, still they bring back Puno Ford. Now they still have no linebackers, and then you don't have. And then you're going to have to pay, if you're going to pay Bobby to bring it back.
Simple.
Now you have no
Move
money.
Puna to linebacker. Done.
No. Well, I have a feeling you could see Jamal Adams at linebacker.
Oh, I absolutely believe that will happen.
Yeah.
100% believe that.
And then, and then that trade just gets even worse by the second.
It does. Oh God, yeah. It makes it.
Oh God.
So Seahawks fans out there,
you just give up. You just gave up making Jamal Adams a safety at that point. You can't do it.
Seahawks fans out there are like, oh well, he's going to get to be his natural position. I'm like, this is a bad thing. You paid him to be a top tier safety because a top tier safety is really what is like make or break over a top tier line. Now, top tier linebacker play is good, as we saw with Bobby. And hopefully that's something we can get to down the line for the right price. I would like to see Bobby come back, but especially since you're in desperate need for linebacker at the moment. But that is not a good thing, folks. Like, you traded a lot for what
I'm just super nervous that your linebackers coming into the year would be Bush, who's been terrible and got ran out of Pittsburgh, and Jamal Adams.
Yeah,
like those are two massive question marks.
I think he could pick it up right away, but he's going to make mistakes, and those mistakes are going to cost.
What if he doesn't?
Yeah,
and he's a tiny linebacker too. He's 2'10".
And that's the thing. Yeah, he's going to be more. He's going to be going with tight ends.
I'm just like, if that's the case, I get it. But it's just like two massive question marks. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
I mean, like I said, I think it's a more natural position for him, and not to say that he couldn't put on a little weight too. That would help him
20
a
pounds?
little bit.
Like,
I mean,
just,
minimum he's got to put 5-10 pounds on minimum to do it.
minimum it's like 15.
But
Like, yeah, 230 to play linebacker.
I mean, there's some speedy linebackers nowadays. I mean,
Bush is a small linebacker. Like his thing coming out of college was he's tiny for a linebacker. He's 234. He is 20 pounds heavier than Jamal Adams, and he's a tiny linebacker. Jordan Brooks weighs almost 40 pounds more than Jamal Adams. Let's it's going to be a problem for Jamal Adams. They're just going to be like, we just signed 2 tackles that can't really run block, like Kevin said. Like, we're going to run straight at you, Jamal Adams. Like,
well, they do have Nick Bellore, who is a very experienced linebacker.
God, fuck that.
Yeah, their linebacker core is.
I'd rather play the Army.
Jamal Adams and Nick Bellore. Like, I'm just like, this is terrifying.
We signed some kid from Army or Navy. I can't remember who, but I'd rather play that over Nick Bellore.
But like, again, like, I don't want to say it's like DEFCON because like they still have a lot of picks. So if they spend their first 2 picks on linebackers, it makes me feel a lot better about the linebackers. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it changes what the draft's gonna be, like what they end up doing.
Here's the thing that Seahawks fans also we need to realize too. Like, once Jordan Brooks went out, that other guy came in, the run stopping actually got better with him in there. Not to say that he's a better linebacker. But what I'm saying is that the defense already at this point sucks major butt. It's not good. Could it get worse? Of course, it could get absolutely worse. But at the moment, we're giving up almost 25 points a game. That's not good.
Madigan is the guy that the Army guy.
So this draft you really have to hit. I think you need to draft at minimum 2 linebackers, minimum, and that's if you sign Bobby. Because I don't think Devin Bush is serviceable, and you just got to plug and play. Now they might do that after that. They might take 2 linebackers and just plug it in and let them play right off the bat, like they kind of did with the tackles. And props to them. And then you just take undrafted kids as your backups, which is a little scary. But they're
your backups.
But Brooks will also come back at some point during the season as well, to where that will help. And
near the very end, though. I mean,
what's his face in Leo can technically play linebacker, but it probably wouldn't look great.
Who?
What's his name? He's a Leo, but he can play linebacker for us.
Mafe or whatever his name.
Oh,
there's him or Taylor.
Taylor, that's what Darrell Taylor. Taylor can't. He's a DN / linebacker. He technically can play it.
He's huge. I mean, he's 255, 6'4". He's pretty much an end, I think. I mean, they had him out there, but I think he's an end. I think you're right, Kevin. He's just an end, really.
So, what they do from there on, who knows? Like I said, but definitely okay. And then going into safety, Julian Love, like, I haven't really gotten time to look at much footage on him or stats. I would rather see Ryan Neal and Diggs be the starters, but I mean, if you're paying a safety that much, it's so weird. Like, Ryan Neal has shown himself like over the last 2-3 years to be a starting safety, and Pete Carroll's just like
that's incorrect, Kevin. Ryan Neal, according to Advanced Metrics, was the 4th best safety when he played last year. He was like, wasn't a starting safety. He was a really good safety when he played.
And Pete Carroll just is, and this is what I'm telling you. Like, Pete Carroll doesn't know how to evaluate talent. Like, I have a feeling Ryan Neal is going to start as a backup, which is stupid. It is what it is. People keep saying that Pete's a genius and shit like that, but you went out and got another safety that you're paying money to when Ryan Neal is a top safety in the league last year, and Diggs is serviceable. So but then you can't, sit Diggs, because I think Love is a free safety where Diggs is a strong safety. So I don't know what Pete plans to do there, unless he plans to move one of them to like nickel corner, which is going to be odd as crap. But all in all, the draft need, other than quarterback, and probably a better setter, which sadly we're not going to do. I have a feeling the kid that we brought in from the Browns is going to be starting center.
Evan Brown,
Lions, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, is he from the Lions?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Evan
Oh,
Brown.
okay. I mean, yes, we do need guards too because our guards suck. But primarily this needs to be an all defensive draft, other than quarterback. That you need to get high up. So, and we'll get more into that probably in the next week or two. As we, well, probably no, sorry, I keep forgetting it's March.
Yeah, we got a month until the draft,
Month.
so probably soonish.
Well, isn't it in May? I think it's in May this year.
No, it's last weekend in April.
Last
Oh,
week
last
in
week in
April.
April. Okay, so yeah,
The
so probably like 2 weeks.
23rd, I think.
2 weeks
Don't come in.
roughly.
I think it's the 23rd.
We'll kind of go over that.
Right.
But
No,
yeah,
20th.
all in all, free agency
20th.
moves and who they let go. I'm glad they didn't re-sign Penny real quick. And who else did we let go?
Jefferson, Harris, Jackson, and now Woods.
Yeah, Harris, I was glad. Jefferson, you could bring back too.
Homer's gone too.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
Homer
right,
as well,
Homer's
yeah.
son.
I mean, Penny only got like $1 million, didn't he?
No, he got 6.5.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He got 5.5 because people are now kind of getting on the Phillies for being stupid because they're paying one running back 6.5 and the other 5.5 which is not smart. You shouldn't be paying that much money to two linebackers.
With a team like that, you can plug and play your running backs in an offense like that. You don't need to be paying anybody.
No. Jefferson, I think we could bring back for pretty short later on, so I'm not too worried about that. And the rest of them, I'm pretty okay with. So, yeah,
I don't think it's terrible. I think a lot of their moves, I think it's pretty clearly are setting up for the draft. So I don't think you can judge free agency separate of the draft at this point, especially with a team with some needs. So it really free agency will come down to after the draft. What did they address and what does it look like? And then we can really, in totality, judge free agency after that point.
But I will say before we move on, I think Bobby is kind of a necessary. You need to go get Bobby.
I don't know I haven't seen one person say they don't want the Seahawks to bring back Bobby Wagner. Now the only person that matters is Pete and John, but we'll see.
The problem with that is they don't have a ton of money anymore.
17 mil for this season.
They have 11
now. It's 17 as of today. They just posted.
Give it all to Bobby.
I'm looking at it right now. It's $11 million. Over the cap, they have $11 million in cap space. Are you talking about actual or effective? Because it obviously takes into account what you have to pay for your draft.
Yeah, that's true too.
So they have $11 million right now. So it's just not a lot, unfortunately.
But I mean, who else do you plan to get besides, I mean, would you rather let that $1 million sit?
Would I rather have Bobby, or would I rather have a couple other linebackers and maybe another, like a guard or a center or something like that? I might just go at this point. I don't think Bobby fixes anything. Like if we were a couple, like one piece shy, yeah, but Bobby's not going to fix the tackles and the ends and the other linebackers. He's just not going to fix all of it. If you told me we had like 2 monster tackles and another linebacker, then absolutely, because they need that veteran presence. But he's just not going to fix the rest of this team.
But that's the thing. So I agree with that to a certain extent because, like, you have what you have with this team. So, like, yeah, do we have a Super Bowl caliber team at this moment? No. No matter what you put on it, this team is not going to go to the Super Bowl. Period. I mean, but should you shy away from trying to make your team the best thing it can be by putting the best linebacker that played last year into the middle?
He wasn't the best linebacker last year.
He was like top 3. Like, he was pretty ridiculous.
Bobby Wagner?
Yeah.
Where did he end up?
He was top in tackles.
Oh, I don't care about tackles. Tackles mean nothing.
He was almost, I think, for tackles for loss, he was up there in top.
Let me see where it was. Oh, I keep looking for a Seahawks logo next to his name. That took me a lot. It depends on the metric, but yeah, he was pretty good depending on the metric. I mean, it all depends. 15
bring
or
back
so,
Bobby,
yeah.
Bring back KJ, get the band back together.
But
let's do it.
Like for the price of a Bobby, could I get like a Miles Jack and a Zach Cunningham or Levante David or something like that? Can I get both of them for the same price as Bobby? Like, I'd probably rather have the 2 versus the 1.
You think you get both those guys for that price?
For 11.
For Bobby?
Way.
Why not?
You think you can get those two guys you just mentioned for $11 million
I,
total?
Bobby's not going to get 11. Bobby's going to get more than 11.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I have no idea what he's going to get.
You could fake the contract. You can make it like back heavy or something. Like you can easily do that, and then you can restructure Diggs and get $7 million. As much as I don't want to restructure Diggs, because I'd rather just cut him next year, but you gotta do what you gotta do at this point. Actually, they do have 2 million coming off, so they have like 13 effectively, as of because Al Woods just got cut, so there's no way that affects that. But
Right.
you can even do less. You can do like an Anthony Walker Jr. or somebody like that, and then like get two like serviceable linebackers, which they don't have serviceable linebackers, versus like one guy. I think you just need depth pieces, not like a key piece. You need a lot of pieces, and spending a lot on one guy isn't going to
But
solve
you
that.
also need like good superstar pieces in
But again, you need superstars if you're going to win the Super Bowl. You're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You just need to like spread out your talent right now. You need to like maximize that.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Seahawks free agent moves so far. Go ahead and do it. I'm at Bears Matt. Sean is at Sean Scorbady. Kev's at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Let's give a quick mention to a football team that is actually playing games right now. The Seattle Sea Dragons. That's right after an 0-2 start. They have moved up the ladder and they are now at 3-2. Granted, in the XFL North, they are tied for second currently. I really don't know how the playoffs work, so I assume it's like the top 4 teams, top 2 in each division. I have no idea.
Top
But
two in each division. Yep.
yeah. So currently tied with the Battlehawks, and I believe the Battlehawks won the head-to-head game, so I believe they have the tiebreaker. Sean, have you been watching some Sea Dragons football?
I do watch the Sea Dragons. I missed, I think, last week's game against the Houston Roughnecks. It's not entirely true. I caught about a quarter and a half of the game. The people are saying the Sea Dragons are better than their record indicates, which I could get. But when you have a negative 10 turnover differential and it's just continuing, defensive turnovers are very sporadic year in and year out. Offensive turnovers are not. Basically, because the defense, you're being opportunistic. When a quarterback throws you a pick and you catch it, that you didn't cause the turnover, the quarterback threw it. However, on the other side, if you keep throwing it to the defense, that is repeatable. And that is unfortunately the Sea Dragons are doing the repeatable thing, and it's a bad repeatable thing. So turnovers could very well continue, I think, for
Are you
for
calling
this.
for Ben DiNucci to be replaced? Is that what you're doing right now?
It's not even just him either. It's just like everybody. So it's just not really sound, I would say, football, and they keep squeaking games out. And I'm just like, I honestly think the Houston Roughnecks were a better team than they last week, but just because of some other things like a kick return, they won the game. So I'm a little wary of where they are in the standings, but yeah, they're in the mix though. They are definitely in the mix. I think that it'll come down to defenders they're really good, unfortunately. So, but them and the Battlehawks, they play again.
They do. They play in week 9 on
I think
Sunday,
that might
April
whoever
16th.
wins that might decide who's going for that. And so Vegas is terrible, so they play Vegas again one more time. That's good to see. But yeah, I'm curious to that St. Louis matchup might decide it, which is fun to have a rivalry with St. Louis again after all these years. So I say bring it back.
Kevin, have you watched any Sea Dragon football?
Sadly, no.
Damn it, Kevin.
I know. I mean, other than like the crazy like 60-yard throw to Josh Gordon that was like 2 games ago. I don't know. Like it just I think eventually I might get into it maybe next season or
It's
I
a
don't
pretty
know.
fun product. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's pretty
Yep.
fun.
So it's fun. Yeah. It's just I haven't really had time to, sadly. So I wish I had more time.
Don't we all? Don't we
I
all?
know.
All right. Well, let us move on to the Seattle Kraken and let's talk about their recent schedule. It has not been great for the Kraken recently. I believe our last show was in February, so Oh no, they did this road trip. So they were home against Anaheim 1-5-2, lost at home to Ottawa 5-4. Had a back-to-back at home against Dallas, lost 4-3 in overtime. We'll get to that in a second. Then lost 5-2 on Monday. Then they went to San Jose, beat Sean Sharks 2-1 in overtime, and then they came home on
Couldn't even do it in
Saturday.
regulation.
What?
Couldn't even do it in regulation. You suck.
And then they came home and faced Edmonton and lost 6-4. Sean, what have you thought of the Seattle Kraken so far these last few weeks?
I'm just pissed because my Sharks went to overtime again. You're tanking the wrong way. Stop going overtime. The Kraken.
Aren't they always tanking because they play in the Shark Tank?
Well, yeah, but don't get overtime points. Don't get loser points. Stop it. I think
they're going to overtime with Edmonton right now.
I know, but they got a point already, so that sucks.
Oh.
Like, stop getting those points. Because they're officially eliminated. Their first team officially eliminated, so they literally have nothing to play for. But yeah, it happened. Like I said a couple weeks ago, their goaltending just is not. It's not it anymore, and it's not going to be it. They've given up what 5, 4, 5. They only allowed 1 goal to the Sharks. Congratulations, and then 6. So they're running. They are running into their tough part of the schedule. Dallas is good. Edmonton is really good. Connor McDavid. Everyone got to see Connor McDavid plays good hockey. Turns out they played Dallas. The next 2 games, or after that, the 23rd and 25th are going to be big games because those games are they're going to come down to like Nashville is I'm looking it up right now. They were a couple points, but they're like there's 2 teams that are not currently in wild card that can make a run at it. It is Nashville and Calgary. Nashville has 1 less game played and they're 7 points back. But they have 2 games at hand. So if they beat them twice, that is immediately 3 points back. That is a game and a half back if they just beat Seattle. So it is them not making the playoffs is a very realistic possibility now with how this is shaping up. They're still obviously the favorites to go because Nashville has to beat them twice. But let's say they beat them twice and then they win their last game. That is immediately 82 points. That is 1 game behind the Kraken. Calgary is playing a lot better recently too. So Nashville is struggling currently at the moment. But again, like the games are at hand. So like Nashville controls their destiny basically. The Kraken just have to get a little bit better goaltending. Just bandage that thing enough to limp into the playoffs. And again, playoffs I don't think will go very well, but the experience is valuable in hockey, of playoff hockey, because it is not a completely different game, but it's a very different game. Once you're in playoff hockey, is very different than regular season hockey. So a lot of young guys get the chance to see that. I think is big for them. So yeah, just please hold on. Basically, it sucks to be like, or just a while ago, we're the best team in the West, and then now it's like hold the line and try to survive. But that's basically where we're at this point. So it does get a little better actually. I have to look at Anaheim, Arizona a couple times, Vancouver, Chicago, Arizona. So, but just hold on, please. You're almost home free.
Yeah, I have been to 2 games in the last couple weeks. So I went to the Saturday game against Dallas with my friend Sheridan. So I'll first share my statistics at Kraken games. So in 2021, the calendar year, I watched them go 0-3. I watched them lose to the Canucks, the New York Rangers, and the Winnipeg Jets.
They lost a lot of games.
In the calendar year of 2022, I was 3-0. I watched them beat Chicago, New Jersey, and the Winnipeg Jets. This year so far, I have been to 2 games and I am 0-2. So maybe I just need to go only in even years. I'm not really sure what the deal is, but I went to the Dallas game last Saturday with my buddy Sheridan, and before the game, I was, he's not a big hockey guy. He just likes sports, and I was like, Joe Pavelski, former Shark, and then I had shared my story about when our parents went down to Monterey Bay and they stopped at the San Jose Sharks team store, and my mom called. Was like, what kind of shirt do you want? I don't know. Just give me a shirt. Give me Pavelski. That off season, he left the San Jose Sharks, so I have a cursed shirt. And I told Sheridan for the game, I was like, Joe Pavelski's like the best player in the league at tipping pucks in from like a shot from the point or something. So watch him get one of those tonight. And so the Kraken came back. They were up 3-2 in the third period. 3 minutes left. Dallas pulls the goalie, and there's just a crazy scramble play at the end. Seattle's blocking shots, but the puck finds the way to Joe Pavelski, and he puts it into the back of the net. And I look at Sheridan, and I said, I told you he'd score. And he just gave me this look of anger. And then the Stars won in overtime. So I hate that I was right, but I was right. So Sheridan does know that as well. Then our dad, Sean and I's dad, asked me to go to the Edmonton game. Didn't realize it was an afternoon game until that day. Luckily, I got up at 10. It's an hour drive, so no big deal. But Sean is probably very frustrated to see Evander Kane score 3 goals,
No,
record a
I'm
hat
very glad
trick.
he's not on the Sharks team anymore.
I mean, that's fair. He was a just awful when he was with the San Jose Sharks. But
Well, he's just an awful. When they cut you for lying about your vaccination status because the team doesn't want to play with you anymore. Yeah, that's why
yeah,
they cut him.
but he seems to have found a home in Edmonton, and he scored the first goal within a minute of the game starting. He scored again within a minute of the second period starting, and then he completed the hat trick to essentially put the game away. And and then Connor McDavid at the end just with the nail in the coffin with a goal that didn't look difficult at all. He just like made a move, put it under the Martin Jones pads, and it was over. So, I'm glad I got to see Connor McDavid play. Leon Draisaitl, I've seen him play a lot, so got to see him play a little bit. But um, I think the Kraken, like you said, Sean, goaltending has been horrific, and Philip Grubauer left the game against Edmonton this Saturday with a non-COVID illness. I don't know what that means. They have brought up Joey Decord as an emergency backup, so Jones is going to be the guy until we know what's wrong with Grubauer. And even then, it's Jones came in, had no warm up, no nothing. First shot he sees, goal. So we'll see how the goaltending holds up. But I do agree with Sean. The goaltending has to do something, like maybe do some sort of luck trick or put your socks on differently, tie them in a different order. I don't know what to do, but they need to figure it out. And then Andre Burakovsky, hopefully he comes back in time to help this team do something, because his lack of presence there is greatly missed. They brought up John Hayden from Coachella Valley, I think because they're just kind of lacking numbers and bodies right now. And then their third line and fourth line hasn't been as productive as it was earlier in the season. So they need to get more scoring from their lower guys. But, overall, if they do get in the playoffs, I do agree with Sean. I think they're going to probably be one and done. But getting there is ultimately a big step for them. So
I think they've been really good actually at depth scoring. I think they have like one of the most 20 goals scorers, or 15 goal scorers in the last 20 years. They have 12 people that have done that on the team, so they're pretty good at the depth scoring. I just think
it's kind of dried up a little bit though. It has.
Well, yeah, it was going to because they had crazy puck luck. It's just that was going to, and that's why I said the goaltending needs to get better, because that they're not going to score at the rate they've been scoring. They're just not that offensive of a team. They've been getting crazy puck luck, and it's going to regress.
Yeah, 6 guys with more than 15.
Yeah, can they score, or can they goaltend enough? Can their goaltending get better as their goals go down? And I'm just at this point clearly Grubauer's their guy, but at this point bring up Joey for Martin Jones, or what about, I hate him with a passion, but and he's not good anymore. But why didn't you just take a run at Jonathan Quick, who just got traded for basically nothing? Just roll the dice with a backup at some point, because the backup's just not getting it done for you. And Grubauer's really not getting it done either. But you need just shake up the snow globe. Just see what happens, because that's what's going to keep you from making a run. What if you trade for Jonathan Quick and he goes on a flurry run? Because he's done it twice, and won 2 Stanley Cups because of it. What if that happens? But I think staying pat was just a giant mistake for the Kraken on the trade deadline. I was just who cares? Martin, I think Quick cost somebody a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick, and that was it. They traded him once, and then their team's oh, we don't want him. We did that. We traded him for this, and then they gave him away to another team. And I'm just why couldn't you have just done that? Just roll the dice on somebody. But again, this year is kind of a learning year, and then hopefully they'll address that in the offseason.
And Sean, I don't know what you've seen or if you know what the contract is. I've been seeing a lot of extend Vince Dunn. I am fully on board with that. Vince Dunn has been excellent this year. He's leading the team in assists. He is their best offensive defenseman. I don't think it's really much of a question. So obviously in the power play, that is the defenseman you want on the power play.
You want a good offensive defenseman. You probably should just come to the Sharks and trade for Vlasic, or not Vlasic,
Carlson. Yeah, well, that would have
that
taken.
guy's gonna win the Norris, so
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you probably should just trade for that
guy. Kevin, have you watched any Kraken hockey recently?
Of course.
Kevin, why are you on this podcast?
I know, right? Like I said, unfortunately,
turn off bowling for a second and turn on the Sounders.
I'm sorry.
I don't necessarily agree with that. You can watch bowling. I will fully advocate.
Just dual cast it. Watch on your phone and watch the other one on, the TV.
I just have to figure out how to, like, what, if I can get it on. Well, I could put Prime on my phone. That's true.
Oh, you could.
But yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm like I said, I look at box scores on, and see if they won, or, I always check to see if they won their games and stuff like that, and then kind of go through, like, who did what. So yeah, sadly, I haven't been able to. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they, like I said, maintain the course, and you could see a decent. How far are they from? Yeah,
they're in the first wild card spot right now.
Yeah. Okay. That's what.
Yes. It is.
But there's like
dicey,
what?
Though.
There's
they're
like
2 games up on the team behind them, and then they are 6 points up on the team outside looking in.
But there's only like 2 weeks left.
Yeah, 13 games left for the Kraken anyway.
So, I think they could probably maintain it and sneak in. I mean, at this point, as long as you kind of continue to go at least like a 500 pace, you'll just kind of see. Do I expect like big things out of it? No, because as we've seen, and I've can see in the stats that goaltending is a big problem, and we've pretty much talked about it all season long. That defense and in goaltending has just been a huge problem for them that hopefully they will definitely address in the offseason, either in draft or free agency. Because then from there, if you maintain the majority of the pieces on this team, I think this is a team that could do a deep playoff push. But unfortunately, as we've already mentioned, goaltending is like quarterback play. It's very crucial, and you need to have it. So yeah, I won't kind of beat dead horses there, but it is what it is. So, like I said, the fact that they're going to make the playoffs is fun. Enjoy it while you can. If we get a win during the playoffs, it's even better. But I mean, if they go one and done, I wouldn't be too sad, because nobody at the beginning of the season, we did not expect them to be in a playoff contention spot. So it is what it is. And next season is more when I think we're going to see a better push to be a contender, so to speak.
All right. Well, the Kraken have a 4-game road trip that will be very important. Luckily, they are much better on the road than they are at home. So they are at Dallas tomorrow, at Nashville Thursday and Saturday, and then they wrap up the road trip at Minnesota on Monday. So we will see how they do. Let us know what you have thought about the Kraken so far this season. Go ahead and tweet us. I am Peter_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That is C2Believe. Let's wrap it up with the sport that's about to get going in a week, 2 weeks. Yeah. The Seattle Mariners are currently in the midst of spring training. I'm not going to go over the record. It doesn't matter. Kevin, what have you thought of how the Mariners have looked in this spring training so far? We'll get to the World Baseball Classic.
But... Actually, Kevin, I want to ask you something before.
Yeah,
how do you feel about your boy Bryce Miller being sent down today?
I'm okay with it. He's still very young. Like, I mean, we drafted him 2 years ago. Like, I have a feeling they'll probably go. See, that's the thing. I don't know who you go with fifth, because at this point, you gotta have a feeling that they're looking to trade Flexen. I think
he's 24.
What's up?
He's 24.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think he'll come up later this year. It's just there's so many pitchers, so many. So he's got a lot to compete with Hancock and what's his name?
Woo's a ways off, but yeah. Tyler Dollard and Hancock's basically there too.
Yeah. Plus, you're Flexen already being there and being solid enough to be a fifth. Marco's solid enough to be a fifth.
No, they got guys. They got dudes.
Yeah, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, essentially for like one spot. So will he see some time later on the season? I would be very surprised. But last year he ended the year just barely going up to AAA. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in AAA for like 2-3 months, and then if he's just dealing, then yeah, you gotta bring him up and see what you got in him. Would he be a starter right off the bat? No, I think you probably put him in a bullpen scenario, and then I mean, does he deserve to be a starter from what we've seen? Yeah, he's got some filthy things, but you also drafted Emerson Hancock to kind of do that too. So it's like, but I mean, more good arms in a bullpen is not a bad thing. Let's put it like that. So that's not really a lost situation there. Like having a guy like him, because a lot of people thought Matt Brash would be a starter, even though we were kind of seeing it to begin with. I mean, he can go like he can be a solid number 5 starter and go 4 or 5 innings. But because his pitching repertoire is so unique, so diverse, he's better as a bullpen guy that can kind of get you some, crazy stuff. Versus Bryce Miller's current rotation of pitches is more dealt to be for like what a starter would have. And his numbers. So
there he is.
But all in all, I'm not unhappy with it. As far as Mariners, like as a whole, I'm not going to go too far into it just because we don't have enough time. But I like what I've seen. Teoscar's had been pretty much what I thought Teoscar was going to be. Kelnick's had better start. I hope Kelnick continues on. We had a little scare today with him getting taken off the field. But it sounds like he just had a little bit of calf soreness or something. Calf or something in his leg was just quad. Is probably dehydration, maybe a Charlie horse, hopefully. It sounds like that you're just being super precautious because of his spring training being so good so far. Julio's scaring me with crazy dives still in WBC. Like
well, that's done now. He's
I know it's over, which I'm happy.
All the Mariners are back.
It scared the crap out of me. I was just like, I'm like, unless you're in a Mariners uniform doing that, stop it. But yeah, no, it's and then also just a quick note, Harry Ford going ham for England. Like that's good to see for a Mariners farm system. So all in all, what we've seen in the spring as a whole, because I can't just say for spring training, because the World Baseball Classic kind of showed you a little bit too. Things look good. I think. I mean, are we going to be World Series contenders? Maybe. I think it's a possibility, but I'm not going to say we're going to be world beaters. But I mean, it's definitely there if the pitching is there and the hitting. It's all with baseball. It's just so hard because it's hard to stay healthy because there's so much random injuries and stuff like that. So if we stay healthy, there's a good shot for a good playoff deep run. But there's also a lot of other good teams out there. So.
I don't have too many thoughts. Actually, I have one thought, and then I'll throw it to Sean here. Jared Kelnick, revenge season. I feel it. It's coming. He's gonna rake this year. I want it. I feel it in my bones. Sean, what do you think of the Mariners in spring training so far?
Just don't totally suck. That's fine with me. Yeah, Kevin's kind of saying it with Flex, and I agree that. And Jerry they've said it hey, let's have the conversation about it. But I've also, injuries are going to happen in this rotation. We were super crazy lucky last year. And it's just nice when let's say Robbie Ray misses a month. It's just super nice to have Chris Flexen, versus somebody else. This is who Chris Flexen is, and he's going to be really, really good. And I don't have to worry about what if Hancock comes up and struggles or something like that. I'm like, I just know Chris Flexen is going to be good. And so there's a lot of value in just having that sixth guy who's is just gonna be a great guy. But if I would say this, if a deal that you can't pass up comes along, you gotta pull the trigger. And I think Jerry knows that. But I think Jerry is confident right now with look, his value is kind of low. I'm not gonna trade him yet. But if something comes along, I'm gonna pull the trigger at that point. And I think that's the right way to do it.
I feel like he's confident enough to know that even if somebody got hurt, that Marco can be a guy that's solid enough to be your 4-5, and then you bring up one of the kids and see who gets hot.
Well, I think so too, but I don't know if Miller is quite ready yet. maybe needs like half a year of seasoning.
Yeah,
Wu's
I
not
think
ready yet.
I agree. I think Hancock maybe, but Hancock missed so much time.
Yeah, it's just an injury thing. It's just
So
like an innings
yeah.
thing. So like, how many
Maybe
innings is he actually
Dollard?
gonna be able to give
I
you?
don't know. Dollard's still kind of into.
Dollard could, but again, like, are you more confident Dollard, or you're telling me I got to start, and it's either Dollard or Flexen? I'm just gonna pick Flexen. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, of course, yeah.
I
No,
just
no.
Flexen's just like a really underrated, like that sixth starter who you know is good is just really, really valuable. And so like I just think that like, and that's what I'm saying, like at All-Star break or All-Star break around there, the conversation will probably be moved where one of those bottom guys is moved, and then you call up a kid. But at the start of the season, you just hold off. You're like, look, unless we get blown out with a deal for Flexen, let's just hold off, weather an injury if it comes, and then by the trade deadline, because this is Flexen's last year, like, hey, we have a Marco, we have a Flexen, just throw us like some double A outfielder or something, something like that. Like, let's see some kid with some potential, and then we'll trade you a Flexen or
I
something
would
like
be
that.
very surprised if Flexen's on this team after All-Star break.
Yeah, it's because I mean, again, I think the biggest factor is too, like, he is probably pretty decent in the bullpen. The problem is that everybody in the bullpen is a righty. Like every single person is a righty. So it's just like
I mean, we had that last year too.
Yeah, but Brash and
one...
Munoz, that just doesn't matter because they're just so stupid, filthy. And Paul Sewell, it just doesn't matter. But it would be nice if like you move a flex in and bring up a lefty. I don't know who the lefty would be, but you know what I mean. Like
playoff time, your lefty is not Robbie fucking Ray. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, Robbie Ray's not a terrible lefty coming out of the pen, but like, it just was like he just doesn't. The matchup versus Jordan was just going to be.
Wait, no, we had Boyd. Like, Boyd was lefty last year, wasn't he?
Who?
Isn't Boyd a lefty?
Yeah, but he's not here.
But yeah, he's no longer.
Yeah. That's because he. I
retract my statement saying that we did have Boyd.
Yeah. So I'm but like, and then you could bring up somebody else. So it's the spring training. Everybody's been healthy for the most part, other than a couple of like Kelnick today and a couple other little things. So it's totally fine. I know JP played today, so okay, healthy there. No one's gotten hurt that I've noticed, or all the pitchers been relatively healthy, knock on wood, again so far this spring. And yeah, there's just health. And I'm confident in everybody, but let's see what Kelnick looks like once the season starts. And he's been doing everything that you would want of somebody. Because again, it's not like Maddie said, it's not really the result, it's the process. Because that's what you grade this on, the process. Because if the process is good, the results will follow. His process has been much better, and hoping that leads to better results for at least for Jared Kelnick. So,
all right, well, let's talk about our thoughts on the World Baseball Classic. And frankly, if Team USA doesn't win, I know you guys talked about the talent they have, but I mean, they're getting batting practice from Ken Griffey Jr. here, so no one better to watch hit dingers at 55 like he is. So if they don't win the World Baseball Classic, it's frankly a disappointment. But in terms of just how the tournament has gone, I didn't watch much of the group stage, but I did tune in to the US Venezuela game on Saturday. Actually, Sean and I's dad, we kind of went to a restaurant, watched like the middle of it, then we went back to a hotel room, watched the rest of it. And I think it's a great event because there's, a lot of sports have international competition, and that's usually, people representing their country and playing as hard as they can to try and win for that pride for representing their country. And, when I watch that game, it doesn't seem like America is as prideful as the other ones, as all the other countries, frankly. Because, you watched that Venezuelan team and they wanted it more than the U.S. It was just evident by body language as well as the fans in the stands. And ultimately, Trey Turner hit that grand slam in the top of the eighth, and that was
I don't know. He seemed pretty pumped, Matthew. He seemed pretty pumped.
But when you kind of see the crowds and other teams and what they draw and how much it seems like it is more of a country pride thing, I think other countries just value it more than the U.S. does. That's fine. I mean, that's frankly, that's kind of the U.S. in a nutshell. But there's the World Cup for soccer. Hockey just kind of uses the Olympics as their international competition. FIBA generally uses the Olympics.
That
They
might
also have
change. Hockey has a World Cup coming, but yeah.
they have a FIBA World Cup in basketball, so that's kind of 1 and 2. A lot of sports do use the Olympics as their national country competition, but others have their own tournaments. But baseball does have a presence in the Olympics, but much like the FIFA World Cup, I think this is bigger for countries than the Olympics are. So I thought that the game, especially the one game take all, the intensity, Eugenio Suarez just could not get it done when he had a couple shots there with runners on base. So now he's back with the Mariners, but I thought it was an exciting event. And then I'll show another clip here while you guys are talking about it, with Japan just advancing to the finals. But I like seeing these players represent their countries. And I know Kevin was not happy with Julio diving for balls, but how many times is he going to get to wear the Dominican Republic jersey? Like, who knows? Like, he wants to have that pride in his country and try and bring home a trophy. And obviously if he does an Edwin Diaz or a Jose Altuve, that really, really sucks. But I can't fault him for playing as hard as for his country. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, no.
No, go to Kevin.
Okay, Kevin, what do you think?
Oh no, like I don't fault him, of course. Like I know there's pride and respect, and he's not gonna go out there and just be like, I'm here, and then just be like a kid, like in T-ball out there, just like like he's gonna play and play hard. It's just as a Mariners fan, you get scared because you don't want like the Mets fans seeing Edwin Diaz in that whole situation, like, and then now Altuve, like. It's something you just don't want to see, sadly. It's called a Japanese.
I don't know if you can hear the commentary, but the announcers they're so much better in any other language than in English. Like, it's not even close, frankly. Kevin, keep going.
But yeah, it just scary as you just don't want to see that because, like, especially with this team and the potential that they have, I don't want to see him get injured before the season starts and be like a season long, Julio, this whole season without a Julio there is not good, like at all. It's very, very bad. So that's when I mean, yes, he's young. He's probably more, able to take those things. God, that Shohei Ohtani guy is really, really good. But it's it just scares me. Like I respect the why he wants to do it, and you should always want to play for your country like that. I just wish it was more like after the World Series and not literally like 2 weeks before the regular season starts. You know what I'm saying? But
it's fair. That's fair. Sean, what are your thoughts?
I just don't know if there's like the issue with me is not really, again, the position players, it's the starting pitchers. The starting pitchers, really, that's it. Edwin Diaz, it's a fluke thing. He did it even celebrating. Technically wasn't even during the World
Baseball. It wasn't
even
the game, yeah.
Wasn't even in the game. So that's not a World Baseball Classic injury. And Altuve got hit on the hand and broke it. Like, again, that's a fluke thing. That happens in spring training. It's not like I'm not worried about position players. I'm worried about the starters and the soggy elbow, all that stuff that we've done with the past. The starters getting hurt is the biggest issue. And I don't know if there's a great time ever to do that. Like after the season when they're tired or before the season when they're ramping up, it's just never going to be great. You could do it in the middle of the season, but then again, you're in the middle of the season. You got to save for the end. Like, what do you do? Like it's just hard on the starting pitchers. I wish like the teams could do like amateurs and not professional starting pitchers only. For all your country, you just do amateur pitchers, starters, because like starting pitchers are so fragile that every country's like, oh my gosh, I know you all want to play, but like the idea of like a starting pitcher getting hurt, like, is just like, it's massive. So,
or even prospect pitchers, like people, double A, triple A, like that's like I'm totally cool with like,
but not every country has that. That's kind of
so you're trying to go like hockey Olympics pre-pros being played essentially.
I mean, like I'm okay with like pro batters playing or hitters because like the risk of them being hurt really isn't that high, but starting pitchers get hurt all the time. And so like it's just like I get why every country and every team and every like all the Japanese teams are really nervous in Japan because all their starters are pitching and the 21-year-old kid is throwing 102 and you're like, oh crap, like they're nervous. Like it's just one position and it's hard. And I know what they're doing and they're limiting. Maybe if you do that, you could get more people if you limit, because they limit the starters. You can only go so long. Maybe if you just like even go less, like with that, like hey, you can only go 2 innings or something like that, and then that would alleviate a lot, and just expand the pitchers rosters. Be like you can only go 2 innings at a time, just to like alleviate a lot of the teams and because a lot of teams play in pro. Like there's Mexican pro league teams who got these guys. There's pro, and it's just the one pitcher, starting pitcher. So if you just maybe limit it, and then you'd maybe get more buy-in from it, because America, you look at our starting rotation, and it's just nobody's. I mean, again, it's Kershaw, but he's past his prime. It's Adam Wainwright past his prime. None of the top pitchers from America even showed up, and so it's just because they don't want to, because they're worried about getting hurt and it's affecting their bottom line. And I get both sides of it completely. But maybe if they limited it even more, you might get more buy-in from the starters, maybe from different countries, like Luis Castillo from Dominican Republic didn't go, the Mariners starter. Like maybe if you limited it, the team's even more willing to let these guys go because they want to represent their country. So I love it. It's great and it's really fun to watch. I was just watching it just now. Japan and Mexico. It was a good game, but it's just sucks that like we see all these great hitters for all these countries, but the pitchers, like Mexico was throwing out somebody who hasn't played the majors. He got signed with the Atlanta Braves for a little bit, but that was kind of it. He was back to Mexico, and I'm like if you just maybe loosened up some of the starters, you'd get maybe some more of these higher Mexican, not Mexican, but like smaller population countries playing. Like Mexico's starters might be a little bit more inclined to play all this other stuff. But it is good to see that there's been a number of people been signed for it too. Like 4 people have been signed during this World Baseball Classic. They've been signed immediately after, so that's pretty cool. Some guys like, it used to really hard. We're gonna sign you. Like, and so people are getting invited to camps after the World Baseball Classic. So I think it's a good thing. Just maybe tweak some things, which is totally fine. Not everything's gonna be perfect the first couple times. And I think this is the first year where they really marketed it and really like went after it, because in the past they were like, they showed it, and the Adam Jones catch is kind of like the famous thing. But like this year, I felt was like, I don't know if you guys feel this way. They were like, this is like a World Baseball Classic. I was like, oh, okay, it kind of feels actually like a Olympic environment finally now. And so, I mean, the crowds have been crazy. I don't know, man, dude. The American crowd. Paul Goldschmidt just said it.
Well, it kind of helps when it's on your home fields.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, you saw the crowds in Miami. It was not as America friendly.
Oh, no. I think it was probably minority of USA fans.
I don't know. I still think it was mostly America, but there was a lot of like other countries fans, which is a good thing. Like have a mixed, like, because that was a good thing to have, because I have a mixed bag there, which showed most fans. And so I just think it's been great so far. But yeah, really play into it more and get more feedback from the players. Because if you just ask the starters what they want. Paul Goldschmidt just said he's like, that home run I hit was the best home run I've ever hit in my life. So I think American players are buying into it more. I just think that other countries have kind of shown more emotion, some of their fans, but I think American players like it a little bit more than you think. I think they're pretty digging it pretty good. Mike Trout said he didn't want to play because he felt like it looked so much fun and he wanted to play, so now he's playing. So I think this is the start of it becoming pretty popular in the future.
All right. Well, the Mariners begin the season Thursday, March 30th. They start with a 4-game series against the Cleveland Guardians. Sean, you're going to one of these games. You still don't know which one, but how excited are you for some Mariners baseball?
I'm going to the first, April 1st, the Julio bobblehead game.
There you go. You better get there early. Very early.
I got there early last time, so.
Kevin, how excited are you for some Seattle Mariners baseball starting next week?
Pretty darn excited. I feel like I know I'm going to go to 2 games. One of them I haven't decided yet but the other one the wife wanted to go to, it's like striking out against stroke against the Pirates in May. So I'll be seeing the Pirates, which will be fun to see that some young blood over there.
So it sounds like we've all got games planned. I'm going to the Houston Astros game on May 6th. So we've all got Mariners in our plans. But the biggest question is, are you guys ready for me to dominate fantasy baseball in my first season ever playing fantasy baseball? The draft is this weekend. And you can just send your condolences to me now because I've got the perfect strategy in line.
I'm worried about you. I'm worried. I'm really worried about you. You've never played fantasy. It's a good league that you're in. so it's not like the craziest, but it is for someone who hasn't paid attention every single day, Matthew. You're gonna do great for the first couple months, but come August, let's see how you're doing. Paying attention every day. That is hard. That's
I'm
hard
gonna
for
try.
me.
I'm gonna
And
try.
for sure,
I'm
it's
gonna
hard for
try.
me and Kevin. Like it gets hard after 7 months, 6 months.
And I'm sure it's similar to football, where if you're not in it, then it's like, what am I doing here? But
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Let us know what you think of the Seattle Mariners beginning the season, their spring training looks. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bearscore Matt. Sean's at Sean's Beatty. Kev is at SEAC2Believe on Twitter. Our next show will be our MLB preview, so should be hopefully next week, if not the week after for sure. But with that, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Bring back our Sonics, please.